Alright guys, welcome to another
Sixth grade math plus, and today you might hear some different familiar voices. We are Piper,
Benjamin.
And Eden, and you probably don't know me.
eighth grader, Mr. Sturth's daughter. And right now we are on module 2, page 125, if you're following along in your book. And okay, Benjamin, we'll scroll up to the top. Oh, okay.
So it says order.
So for question 3, it's order numbers from least to greatest.
And you might be wondering, how do you do that? Okay, that's why we're here. So to start, you divide up here where it says 1 divided by 9, which is equals 0.1 repeated. And what we did was we moved it up 2 digits, so that it became 11.1%. And we continue to do that with other numbers. And for fractions, decimals, yeah, sorry. We just, move them up over 2 digits. And and then we put them in order.
As seen here, it's 4.3%, 1/9,
Oh, by the way,
25%, and so on.
before you put them in order, you have to change them back to their original form. So, for example, for 1/9, instead of it being 11%, it became 1/9 again over here. So, can we move on?
Alright, we are on.
We're skipping this page.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
skipping that page too.
Still moving on. We are on page M2 128 if you're following along.
Okay, so we are on benchmark percents. It is a percent that is commonly used, such as 1%, 5%, 10%, 25%, 50%, and 100%. For fractions and decimals, benchmarks can be used to make estimations. With percents, however, you can use benchmarks to calculate any whole percent of a number.
And this was used on our essential question cards. So we won't be using it right now or on your homework, but this was what we used in class.
And then I'm going to talk about the tape diagrams here. So the tape diagrams show that it's just breaking down each number into half. So 100 broke down to half is 50 to 25 and then it breaks it down not to a full half so that they can get to a more friendly number, 10%.
And 50 is half of 100, and half of 50 is 25. And how we did that was, 25 is equivalent not to a half, but a half of a half. And a half of a half is 1/4, and you might have gotten that by multiplying 1/2 by 1/2, which equals 1/4.
And then it says, use the tape diagram to state each relationship.
So A is, how is 50% related to 100%?
Great question. 50% is related to 100% because 50% is half of 100%. And so down here we put 1/2.
How is 25% related to 100%? And how is 25% related to 50%?
So 25 is 1/4 of 100%, as seen up here. And then 25 is half of 50%, also seen up here. And then how is 10% related to 100%?
Great question, Benjamin. 10% is related to 100% because 10% is 1/10 of 100, which is right here. And if you scroll down again, there is how is 10% related to 50%? Well, it is 1/5 because it takes five 10% to equal 50%.
Now we are going to move on. Hold up. Alright. Okay. Hold up.
Okay, bad news. Benjamin had to go, but we will still continue. Now we're on page Module 2, 129, and
Okay, so number 2 is continue the pattern from the T diagram to state each relationship. And A is, how is 5% related to 10%?
well, if you look over here, well, it doesn't have it, but you can tell 5 times 2 is 10, and 5 is half of 10, so it is 1/2. You just add the percent signs. And then, next question says,
How is 1% related to 10%? And how is 1% related to 5%?
well, 1 would be a smaller benchmark over here. It'd be really, really small. And we know it takes, like, 1 times 10 is 10. So 1 is 1/10 of 10. And 1 is 1/5 of 5. Sorry.
Okay, so number 3 is so use the benchmark percents to determine each value if 600 is 100%.
Okay, so 50% of 600. So we did 1/2 times 600. Or I like to switch my mind because multiplication sometimes confuses me and do 600 divided by 2. Forget the 1 and just do 6 and we'll turn this to division sign. We get 600 divided by 2, which is 300. And then for this one, you can do the same thing, or 1/2 times 300, or 300 divided by 2, which I got 150. And 10% of 600 is 60, and 10% or 5% of 600 is 30. And you might just divide it in half because half of 10% is 5%. We learned that up here. And 1% of 600 is, 600 is 6. So now I think we can move to the next page. Okay.
So number 4 says use your calculator to determine the percent of each number. A is 1% of 28.
Which is 100 times 28, which is 28 hundredths. And so basically what you might find a pattern here, which is on the next page, skipping forward a tiny bit. But for 1%, you move 2 place values over, and for 10% you move 1 place value over. And you'll see that all the way down. I don't know, should we go over these?
You don't have to go over it. You can see the answers.
Okay.
I'll see you guys try.
So this one is 2.32 and 34 hundredths, 23 and 4 tenths, 85 or 0.0085 and 85
Thousandths.
and this one is 586
Yes.
0.0586, and this one is 0.586. So you can see a pattern. I don't think we have to go over all these, but you can see a pattern that they are for 1% 2 place values over, 10% 1 place value over, and that continues. And if we go on to the next page, you can see what patterns do you notice. We just answered that question. Write a rule to calculate the number. move decimal 2 places to the left. We kind of went over that too. And then write a rule to calculate 10%, move decimal place over 1 to the left. Yeah.
So A is use the pattern you recognize in question 4 to calculate each value.
Okay. A is 10% of 45 and 21 hundredths. And how you might do that is by moving, remember, go over here, and 10% is one place value to the left. And originally it was 45, the decimal would have been right here, but then we moved it to the left, one place value. And here you move it 2 place values to the left. Like, so it would originally be here, but now it is here. And for the next ones, I don't think we have to do since they are filled out, but okay, so we'll just go into the next page. Wow, we're going speedy fast. Oh, wrong page. Okay, this is, or if you're following along, we're on page Module 2, Lesson 132. And
Okay, so on this page we're deciding how much to tip to leave a server at a restaurant is one way that percents are used in the real world.
So if you scroll down a tiny bit, on question 3,
What is 15% of each restaurant check total given? Explain how you calculated your answer and round to the nearest hundredth if necessary.
great question, Eden. So how we did a 15% tip was we found a 10% tip, which is $2.40, and then we split that in half, which is $1.20, and then we added them together over here, and we got a grand total of $3.60. And I think we can move on to the next page. That's it. Yes, that is it. Okay, thank you for watching.
Bye!